So recently, whilst wasting another evening of my life trawling eBay for stuff that people don't want, I came across this advertisement for the BBC Micro for two, supposedly testing and working, ATPL sideways ROM boards. And I looked at the price and it was buy it now, 35 quid. And I bought it. So in this video, we'll look at why this board is such an awesome upgrade for the BBC. We'll get it unboxed and I'll show you it being fitted. And I'll also show you how I managed to kill one of my BBCs in the process. And ultimately, did I get myself a bargain? Now, if you have a BBC Micro, there are two very good reasons why you should consider fitting a board like this into yours. The first thing is it expands the number of ROM sockets available from 4 all the way up to 16. And the second thing is, with this board, it comes with sideways RAM. Now, the RAM itself can be used for a couple of things. It can be used to load ROM images into the RAM, but also there are games out there that make use of the sideways RAM and offer additional features and functions which you wouldn't otherwise get. So before we jump straight in with the unboxing, a quick thank you to the sponsor of this video, PCB Way. Not only do they do beautiful PCBs like this selection here from as little as $5, they have a super simple ordering process too. And every order they check before they manufacture it to make sure that it's going to work. But they don't just do PCBs, they do 3D printing and CNC machining. So check them out, there's a link in the description. So it was nice to see that it arrived all well packaged with a copious amount of bubble wrap there. Apologies to the environment on behalf of the seller, but that bubble wrap will get reused. And then inside that, the boards themselves are well protected in an anti-static bag. And the boards have also been inserted into some blue foam, which is nice because that's protected the pins while it's been travelling. So all in all, it arrived all in good order. So here we've got both of the boards side by side. They're both issue 4 boards from ATPL. I think what we'll do is we'll look at the one on the left because that one's slightly more interesting for reasons I will explain. But if we start up at the top left, we've got the analog to digital converter chip, which has come out of the BEEB, socket IC73. Then we've got a logic chip, and then we've got 3 empty ROM sockets. Then on the next row down, we've got another 5 empty ROM sockets. And then on the row below that, we've got one of the ROM sockets populated. We've then got 2 empty. And then in 15A and B there, on the right-hand side, we've got 2 Hitachi 8K RAM chips. Looking down at the bottom of the board, it would seem that at some point somebody's added an upgrade so that this board has battery backup, although there's no battery backup battery installed, which is probably a good thing. And then we've got this janky-looking switch there, which, as far as I can tell from the jumpers it's crossing, is a way of getting the board to ignore the RAM chips. So if you've sent a ROM image to the RAM chips in 15A and B, which is something that you can do with these boards, and let's, for example, say that those images have become corrupted, you can throw this switch and it effectively ignores 15A and B. So in other words, you can start the BBC even if the ROMs recorded on the RAM chips have gone faulty. But I won't be using a battery backup, and I will look to get rid of that janky looking switch. Moving across then, we've got another series of logic chips, and then at the far right, we have got the operating system chip out of a BBC. That'll come out of IC51. So that's a quick overview of the board, and then you can just see appearing out from the underneath of the board, there's a couple of fly leads to connect up to J21, I believe, on the BBC motherboard. But we'll look at that when we come to fit it. What I want to do straight away is I've no intention of adding a battery backup, not for the foreseeable. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this switch out because it's just really annoying me, really, and looks absolutely awful. So I'm going to bob that out first. There we go. So that's it done. The switch is out. I just installed a couple of these pins and put a jumper on there because S4 does need to be made. The only difference between this and the switch is obviously the switch is more convenient, but like I say, I can't imagine ever using it. So this will do absolutely fine. And if I want to install a switch at a later date for whatever reason, then it's going to be pretty straightforward to do regardless. So that's that bit done. So if S4 wasn't made, then what would happen is it would disable the two RAM banks, which I don't want to do. So that's why it's going to stay made. Now, unfortunately, because my Beeb SID is getting in the way of everything, I've just soaked everything in alcohol, so hopefully that should lift the pads off nice and easy. Yeah, it's coming away nice and easy. Because I need to get to IC73 and the whole sidewise RAM board is going to come over here, then that's going to be in the way. So I'll have to find somewhere else for that to go. So that's out of the way. So whilst we're here, let's get IC73 out. Trusty chip puller. Well, it came out quite easy. So that's that out. So I've already got one on this board. You can see we've got the IC73 there, and we've got the operating system there. So we're almost ready to fit it, really. Just need to prepare S21, which is somewhere around here. So here's S21, just hiding to the right and slightly south of the keyboard connector. So if we just... It's the south side of the two that we need to remove on these jumpers. So if we just bob that off, so that's that clear, and then we can just put it on the spare pin there, and he says just leave it on the spare pin there. Then if ever it needs refitting, it's going to be easy to find, isn't it? So when we come to fit the sideways ROM, it's going to be the red wire on the right hand side and the black wire on 6, the fly leads from the expansion board. That's where they will connect up with. So next thing, let's take off our operating system ROM. Like I say, the sideways expansion already came fitted with one, so we don't need to worry about that. Next thing you're going to have to do is what I've already done, but I lost the footage, is just bend over these motherboard connectors. Just give them a 90-degree bend, and that'll stop it fouling from the card when it sits on top. And those that you are really observant might notice that this motherboard has changed. I'm just demonstrating it on another BBC. This is the one that I've broken, and there's a bit of a clue here. You might notice there's a whole socket missing. So that gives you an indication of where I will be going with repairing this BBC. But that's for another story, isn't it? So you join me back. The ROM board is installed with the power and earth lead connected to S21 with E1 to the right, which is the red lead on S21, and obviously not to the left on S21. So that's the power. And I've done it off camera because it took me absolutely ages trying to get these two sockets lined up and installed. I won't say it was a nightmare, but it wasn't easy at all, and nothing that would be worth watching came out on camera. So it's installed, and I've stuck a couple of ROMs in. It's worth mentioning I've also put the basic ROM into 14, which is the highest priority now. So that's where that one wants to go, because any instructions that are being picked up by the computer want to be read by the language ROM first. So let's fire it up. 3, 2, 1, and let me get off its mount. We seem to have a working BBC, but do we have the ROMs? Well, I'm just looking there. It says with FRAC, and FRAC is what I installed down there. So let's start ROMs. And we've got a few there. Right, let's go star FRAC, I think. Yes, it is. Right, let's stick some more ROMs in, and let's make sure that they all work. I think that's worked. And we have got a ton of ROMs there. So let's try one. So that's down there. So that's working fine. That's what we got. Now, if you've got this far, I can guess what you're probably thinking. Yeah, that's kind of cool, but I don't really need 16 ROM slots. I'm quite happy with the 4 that I've got. But I haven't got to what I think is the best feature of these boards. But before we get to that, let's look at fitting this one, because this is where it all went a bit Pete Tong. And if you've got this far and you've enjoyed the content, a thumbs up and a subscribe would be truly awesome. Currently sat around 1,500 subscribers, so with a bit of help you could get me to 2,000, which would be totally awesome. And if you really want to help me, there is also a link in the channel description where you can join me YouTube members. I've got 2 so far. How awesome's that? Maybe you could be my 3rd. Anyway, let's get cracking with this and you'll see where it all went wrong for me. So this is the second board that I got, the first one being a complete win. Let's see if we've got 2 for 2. And if you remember, this one's got one of the power leads missing. So what I have done is I've just knocked myself up a little lead, just because it's going to make it quicker and easier connecting it. It should fit. It was a 4-way one, but I've just cut it down. Can't see that make any difference really. So I'll desolder this one. Then I know I've got 2 good connections, and we've got a brand new connector as well. So we're not going to worry about the connector being oxidized or anything else like that might cause an issue. Lucky with the first one, but perhaps we wouldn't be with the second. So let's get this one desoldered, and we'll get this one soldered in, and then we should be good to go. So this is my second Beebs motherboard, and I've had to take it out because I have run into a few problems. Trying to fit, wherever it's gone, trying to fit this into these sockets has just been an absolute nightmare. To the point where my BBC stopped working, and I worked out why. I'd damaged this ROM socket. Well, it's for the operating system is this one. Technically it's not a ROM, the ROM start there. But as you can probably see, these connectors are now goosed, and the ones on up here on IC73 aren't much better. And as you will also see, is that socket doesn't match that because I already replaced this once, and I've still managed to balls this up again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to desolder these again. Well, I'm going to desolder this one again. I'll desolder that one, and I've ordered myself some 10-pin sockets, which should be much better. Well, I'm hoping so anyway. Now I've saved what I think is the best for last, and that's its ability to enhance games, or rather with the addition of the sideways RAM. Now certainly it would seem towards the end of games being produced by the BBC, manufacturers were looking for ways to improve performance to compete with the emerging 16-bit market. And to do that, they made use of the sideways RAM, which effectively gave it another 16K to play around with. Now, making this video, I've played around with quite a few games that utilise sideways RAM in different ways. But I think the best implementation that I've come across so far is that of Exile. So let's take a look at the game, first without the sideways RAM enabled, and then with it. And then we'll compare the two side by side and see what you think. Now, I have cheated slightly because I'm going to run it on an emulator, and that's just so that I give you a bit of experience of viewing the screen. So I hope you would agree the differences there are pretty substantial indeed. But what if you're not wanting all those ROM sockets and you're not interested in the physical ROM chips? There are modern equivalents which use flash RAM, and they also come with the sidewise RAM as well. So have a look on eBay. I've had a look, and there's a few floating around on there. So you don't need to have that big board. There's much more modern condensed versions of this. So I hope you found the video useful. Hope you got something out of it, and I hope I've inspired you to crack out your BBC and get it upgraded. Thank you for watching. I hope I'll see you again in a video soon, and bye for now.